Freddy vs. Jason. Well, I never seen this crossover before. Well, until preparation for this video. Now that I have seen the movie, how does compare to Alien vs. Predator? Well, we're here to find out. Now let the battle crash. Okay, what story? The story of Alien vs. Predator was just a horror event, and so of Freddy vs. Jason. Yeah, both of these movies are just the need for the plot to end, just to get to the icons facing each other. But I think Freddy vs. Jason has the worst story of the two. The movie just slowed down a bit and have you know the human characters, and I did not care about any of them, but they somehow make it such a big deal about the two killers coming back, and I just don't care about any of this stuff. I just wanted Freddy and Jason just duke it out already. Alien vs. Predator, give me that action quickly as possible, but there's something complicated about the whole plot. Well, it turns out that the aliens and the predators were enemies since the decades. Well, on paper, it sounds pretty cool, but that also complicated the lore of both of these franchises, and it just doesn't make sense. Well, they never give Jason and Freddy a different backstory to bring these two together. Freddy just manipulates Jason to come to Elm Street, and then Jason stole Freddy's victim, and now Freddy has to turn on him. Yeah, as I'm saying this out loud, it sounds basic, but yet dumb. Well, if I really have to choose, well, depends. The characters are not so goofy, and they should take this whole horror thing seriously, then we would have gotten much more than we already seen. Alien vs. Predator characters are nowhere near goofy or annoying, but it is also pretty short, while Freddy vs. Jason actually took the runtime to the count and balanced the well-paced movie. So I rather prefer that, but the story is not superior. I know about Alien and Predator since I was, 10, and I thought these monsters are cool. Well, as for Freddy and Jason, I did not like them, because I am not into scary movies, and this means I am not into them either. Although in this movie, they did take the horror seriously as they look intimidating, despite the goofiness of these dumb teenagers. Well, Jason is suddenly like an anti-hero in this situation, and Freddy was being like an a-hole, but like I said, I am not too into them. I felt sympathy for Jason here and there about him becoming the way he is now, but I did not get enough of that. Alien and Predator has their dope moments in the movie, and you have the Predator be the anti-hero in this film, while Alien is the main villain. But what is lacking is personality. I can tell that they try to give Predator personality, but it just lacks through and through, and it just didn't work. Well, I was convinced that Jason and Freddy's beef was decently executed, and I never get that mortal enemy vibe from Alien vs. Predator as a result of the pacing issue, but the movie overall, with the superior title horror characters, for me, is Alien vs. Predator. Okay, now let's talk about how they executed the battle between the horror characters. Well, the first fight between Predator and Alien, well, it was underwhelming at best. There's a couple of simple moves that is good, but it is maybe too simple. When you pay attention of who editing this, well, Freddy first fight with Jason in the nightmare, well, it was kind of unfair, because Freddy has full power in his world. Well, the climax scene, well, the climax in Alien vs. Predator was also underwhelming, and it does nothing special really. Well, Alien kind of won the fight, because the Predator just got impaled, and he only won because of the human character killing the alien, and I wish she was not a part of this fight. Well, the climactic fight between Jason and Freddy, it was much more creative than Alien vs. Predator. They just put a random rock music during the fight, which it is weird because it does not fit for a horror movie at all, but I liked it. But it was nothing really that special. Okay, well sure, it is bloody and more brutal, but it was not something that I would want to watch again. And plus, I have seen much better executed fight scenes in Megan 2.0, period. And also, I think Freddy won the fight because Jason was barely fighting after they survived from the explosion, and Freddy was just still walking like it was nothing until Jason has to stab him, and the human characters had to put an end to him, which I wish these characters are not a part of this fight either. Okay, well, Alien vs. Predator has more action, but none of them are as good than I thought it was as a kid. So yeah, I am surprised for what I'm about to say. The movie with the far superior action is undoubtedly Jason vs. Freddy. While making this video, well, I looked up the runtime for both of these movies, and it turns out that Freddy vs. Jason is an hour and 33 minutes, and Alien vs. Predator is like 11 minutes longer. Okay, well, if Alien vs. Predator is an hour and 49 minutes, then why waste so much time with the characters being in the ancient house all day? Freddy vs. Jason is actually shorter, but they were able to decently pace the story, even though it was annoying to me. Well, rewatching Alien vs. Predator, well, I can tell that the CGI did not age well, and that's funny because this movie did in fact came out in the year that I was born. Like, what's the odds of that? And Freddy vs. Jason, on the other hand, came out in the year before I was born. But yet here I am comparing these two like it's a coincidence. Well, overall, I think both of these movies are pretty trash, and they don't deserve to exist, but at the same time, it was the coolest crossover fight scenario coming from a horror movie, so I would give it just that. Now it's time to rate the scores. Alien vs. Predator gets a below average 3 out of 10, and Freddy vs. Jason gets a 4. Well, it's been fun. I don't know about you guys, but they should start making more horror crossovers for this generation. Like, Blumhouse should consider making the Chucky vs. Megan fight crossover. Well, me personally, I think that would be epic, but I can't predict that my dream will come true or not. But that is it for this Halloween theme comparison video. Comment down below of which movie do you prefer and why. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I'm Isaiah Belfort, and I will see you guys in the next episode.